Well, one day later, and it still stings the same. That one is going to hurt for a very long time. But who is to blame most for that Eagles collapse? What is going on, everybody? Welcome into A to Z Philly, your number one home for Eagles coverage. Hit that like button if you enjoy these videos. Subscribe by hitting that red button down below and hit that bell so you don't miss any of the upcoming offseason coverage. Thank you to everyone who has become a part of A to Z Philly here in this short time. We will continue to expand and grow, get bigger and better with your support. So thank you all who have given this show a chance, and it'll only get better going forward. RB back, bringing you the latest from the link one more time here in our first half season covering here on A to Z Philly. And man, I am still devastated. I am still sickened. I am still down in the dumps. Yes, I am depressed after that game last night. There are not many performances within Philly sports, which have been painful at times, that I can remember more gut-wrenching than that game. Because all Eagle fans will tell you, credit to the Kansas City Chiefs, they stayed tough, they stayed tight, they were aggressive, they were nitty-gritty down the end, and you know, they deserve the win. No credit taken away from them. But the Eagles are the ones to let that game slip away. They choked it. That's what they did. Plain and simple, they choked, and we will talk about who is to blame for that and why they did, and we'll also talk about what the Eagle fan base can take away on a bit of a positive note from today and from this season, because I think it is important right now. But before we get into who is to blame, shout out to the sponsor here of today's video. Enjoy all of your favorite sports like never before at BetMGM. Sign up using bonus code ATOZPA and receive up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if you don't win your first bet. When you register with BetMGM, you'll get instant access to a variety of parlay selection features, live betting options, player props, and daily boosted odds specials. And with BetMGM at your fingertips, every play and every game matter more than ever. Find out why BetMGM is the king of sportsbooks. Sign up today with bonus code ATOZPA and get up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if you don't win your first bet. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 years of age or older to wager. Pennsylvania only. New customer offer. Bonus bets expire 7 days from issuance. If you're someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, man. Like I said, the Eagles are the ones who choked this game. It is their fault first and foremost. I do want to say that I stand on my point about the referees. They should not have made that call in this grand scale, in this moment, the magnitude of this game, the magnitude of this moment. This was an instant classic. This game was unbelievable. And anybody will tell you that they were playing physical all night. There have been plays like this before, but in that moment, you have to be cognizant of the moment. And there was no reason to make that call. Yes, James Bradbury last night took accountability. He said, quote, "It was a holding. I tugged his jersey. I was hoping they would let it slide." And as I said on the post-game show last night, yes, it was a hold. Technically, he touched him a little bit. He grabbed his jersey. He touched him on the outside waist a little bit. Yes, technically he made contact, and it was a holding, which is it just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, not even a pass interference, a holding. Okay, but anyway, with that being said, that should not have been called. The refs should have given Jalen Hurts one last chance to go down the field and make it happen. He had the ball with 5 minutes to go. He put up a touchdown, got the 2-point conversion on a really tough run, and he never got the ball back. And it's just unfortunate how that game ended. It was such a thriller. What a game, back and forth. And I still stand on my point. That should not have been called in that moment. But like I said last night, that is not the reason the Philadelphia Eagles lost the game. They lost the game because of 3 simple things. Number one, their defense was not able to get to Patrick Mahomes. Now, they've been talking all day about the field conditions, and I actually have a quote here from Hassan Reddick, and this was just one. There were a lot last night from both teams, and I get it. They were both playing on the field, but Eagles pass rusher Hassan Reddick said that was, quote, the worst field he has ever played on. And yes, that was just a joke for them to be playing on those conditions. I mean, guys were slipping left and right. It was just unbelievable. Here's a play, actually, that I'll show you. You can see both of the guys on the outside there on the front. Look at how they both have an angle towards Mahomes and they slip. That's just one play. But all night, these guys were slipping back and forth. But The one thing that I would have never guessed, that nobody would have guessed about this game, is that the Eagles pass rush, this historic pass rush, some of the best ever, this best collective unit, one of the best all time, that were giving the 85 Bears a run for their money, would not get to Patrick Mahomes one time. That's number one as to why the Eagles did not win this game. Now, that's a culmination of things. Yes, you have to look at the players, right? The playmaking ability of Hassan Reddick, what he's been doing the last couple games, and Brandon Graham and Fletch. These guys have been the moment, and they weren't able to get to Patrick Mahomes, and you have to look at them as well. But the coaching staff, Jonathan Gannon revealed his cards before, and it came back roaring its ugly head at the worst time possible. There were times last year in his rookie year, Jonathan Gannon as our coordinator, where, he would let Derek Carr or Kirk Cousins or whoever it may be throw for 85 completion percentage, and he just played back. If you think about last night, I really cannot think about one deep play that Patrick Mahomes threw. All of their plays were underneath. Everything was 5 to 10 yards, and he just took what the defense gave him. And Jonathan Gannon continued to play back. He did not bring pressure. I get it. You can't always bring pressure against Pat Mahomes because of how skilled he is. But whether you want to say he was hurt or not, he has been injured for the last couple weeks. He's been injured for the whole playoffs, essentially, and he's at least been bothered. And when TJ Edwards grabbed the ankle at the end of the first half, Pat Mahomes was limping a little bit. There was definitely something there. I'm not saying he was completely injured or not, but he was definitely in some pain. And for the rest of the game, Jonathan Gannon did not bring any disguise. He didn't bring anything at all. And Pat Mahomes sat comfortably. He broke off a couple good runs. And as a coordinator, you have to have some situational awareness. I get it. Your front four has been so dominant the last couple games that maybe you don't need to bring anybody else. But when you're in a Super Bowl and you're up 10, and now you feel the lead starting to slip a little bit, you have to make some situational adjustments. And Gannon did not do that. And he kind of reverted back to what everybody had expected based on what he displayed during this year and last year. And it was the worst time to do it. So that's really the main reason the Eagles lost. Their front could not get to Patrick Mahomes, and they stayed back. The other reason that the Eagles lost is because they couldn't stop the run game of the Kansas City Chiefs. Yes, obviously they couldn't stop Pat Mahomes, but on both of the drives, the first one of the game and the first one out of the second half for the Chiefs, Pacheco was getting some really tough runs, and the Eagles could not stop it. Every other drive in the first half, they did stop it, and you saw what happened. Mahomes really didn't have anything connecting. They controlled the trenches on both sides. The Chiefs got to Jalen Hurts more, and they were able to run the ball effectively. They were able to essentially push over the Eagles' defensive front, which is one of the best that the NFL has ever seen, and that was just really surprising. The Chiefs won the game in the trenches. They played more physical, they played tougher, and they just outdueled the Philadelphia Eagles, and I don't think many people expected that. And obviously the last reason that the Eagles lost this game is because they turned the ball over. They made the mistake. We had talked about Jalen Hurts not, making mistakes, being clean with the ball. He made one really, really fatal mistake. I'm not going to fault him and say the game is his fault or anything like that. But yes, he did make the mistake. Patrick Mahomes did not. And unfortunately, that turned out to be one of the deciding factors. The Kansas City Chiefs run it back for 7, and there you go, right into the end zone. And, that really kind of sparked them back into the game. Also, the Eagles just didn't make enough marginal plays late in this game, the little things that count, that matter. And I thought with the way the game was trending in the first half, the Eagles, getting a lot of these 3rd and shorts or 4th and shorts, getting a couple big penalties from the Chiefs on 4th and 2 or whatever it is. I thought the Eagles had the game in their favor, in their advantage. Everybody did, but the Kansas City Chiefs, are the ones that executed later on in the game. And, the Eagles made a couple really, really bad mistakes. Obviously, the 2 touchdowns were wide open. I thought that stretch, end of the 3rd, beginning of the 4th, was where the whole complexion of the game changed. Because now you're feeling, okay, now we're actually down, right? 2 touchdowns in the span of a couple minutes that made the Eagles look silly. And that's one of the most annoying things from Gannon. You couldn't get your defense in a position. You couldn't even call a timeout, get them ready for whatever that was. I get it. Credit to the Chiefs. Again, they're a great offense. They do a lot of these, trickery type of things. But really, they just motion a man, and he's wide open for a touchdown. It wasn't even Kelsey. Kelsey had a big first half. I thought he was pretty neutralized the rest of the game. It was these other guys that came up and stepped up, and the Eagles defense got fooled not once but twice. They looked absolutely clueless on defense. And then you give up the longest punt return in NFL Super Bowl history. I mean, that just can't happen. That can't happen. But I thought that was why the Eagles lost the game. They get down, and if their defense had stepped up, if Jonathan Gannon had, decided to be more aggressive or changed it up, maybe the Eagles win the game, maybe not. It was a hell of a duel. Credit to Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, and that team. They were a really good team. So were the Eagles. I thought the Eagles were the better team. They just made a couple bad mistakes, and they did not come out on top. But I do want to say, looking, forward to the season here and the next season, I think there are a few positives to take away. And I haven't even talked about Jalen Hurts, but here's what I want to say about Jalen Hurts to keep it short and simple. Jalen Hurts is the damn guy. That is the biggest positive. That is the biggest takeaway. Yes, Howie Roseman built a great roster. And honestly, a lot of people want to see the Eagles lose. They doubted them. They didn't want to see them win or Jalen, whatever. At the end of the day, that comes from a place of jealousy. I'm telling you, because the Eagles are set up for success. They are primed for success going forward with their roster, with the guys under contract. The whole offensive core is under 25 years old. They have a lot to look forward to. And Jalen Hurts is going to get paid, and damn it, he deserves it. Because that might have been the best game I've ever seen him play. Jalen Hurts with 374 yards of the Eagles' 417 yards of offense. He had 4 touchdowns. He had 3 on the ground, which broke all kinds of records in this game. Eagles offense at 35 points, which, by the way, is the most ever scored for a loser in Super Bowl history. That's what also hurts. They did enough to win the game. They just could not cap it off. First time a player had 4 total touchdowns in the Super Bowl and lost. And this picture speaks volumes, man. Look at Jalen, still having that business mindset, still determined. And, I don't think there was anybody I wanted to win this game more than Jalen Hurts. Given what he's been through, everything's always been doubt. Everything has always been, he's not good enough. He can't throw good enough. He can't do this, and that. He's benched in the national championship. Everything leading up to this point, he has been counted out. And he got to the moment, he had a hell of a season. Even Patrick Mahomes ended up showing him some love, which I really liked. Here was a quote from Jalen. He said, "You either win or you learn. It's something that I know will motivate me." And another quote, he said, "We came up short. I think the beautiful part about it is everybody experiences different pains. Everyone experiences different agonies, but you decide if you want to learn. You decide if you want that to be a teachable moment. I know I do." This guy is so much ahead of his years, man. He's just a really good guy. He's a stud. He's a rock star, man. That is the positive, is that the Eagles have their guy. I don't think there's anybody else I would want to build this team around than Jalen Hurts. He's determined, and he will come back ready to go. He had the highest passing grade ever in a Super Bowl with 92.9. What a game, man. And Patrick Mahomes paid him respect. He said, if there were any doubters left, there should not be now. Jalen is the man, but, this is a moment that Jalen Hurts will remember. He will be back to this point, I'm telling you. He is determined. If you thought from year 1 to year 2, he used that as motivation, all the naysayers, all the negativity to get better, imagine what he's going to do now. Because even though this game wasn't his fault, he put on one of the best damn displays in a Super Bowl ever. He's going to think about that 7 he dropped. He's going to think about a pass that he probably could have hit. He made a lot of good plays. The one to Goddard, the one to Devontae, AJ, there were a lot of good plays. He left it all out on the line, even with a bum shoulder. And he did everything that he could. His running game, I was surprised, didn't show up. That was another thing. He didn't, a lot of people did not show up in this game that usually do, but Jalen left it all out there, man. And he will take all of this in and he will remember it and he will be back. That's the biggest takeaway. He's going to get paid. And obviously you want to re-sign guys like CJ Gardner-Johnson, who had a nice hit and stuff. You'll lose a few players. Of course, that happens. But this Eagles core, man, AJ, Devontae, Dallas Goedert, Hurts. I mean, they're all going to be locked up and they're all young, and they can use this as a teachable moment. Just like he said, Nick Sirianni's going to use this as fire, and to put more fuel in the fire and to get better. Overall, man, this Eagles team will learn from this, and, they know they were right there. They know they let one slip. That's the toughest part. They didn't get outclassed. They let it slip, and we'll have more time to talk about whether Jonathan Gannon should be the guy here. He's interviewing with Arizona today. how can anybody in Arizona look at what happened last night in Arizona and hire him as a head coach? I mean, he showed his hand once again. Shane Steichen is going to be gone, but hey, you know, maybe Gannon stays, maybe he doesn't. Let me know if you want him to stay. I just think it is inexcusable to slip up the way that the Eagles did. Credit to the Chiefs, but the Eagles had this one in the bag, and now it's going to be a long off season. A lot of talking, a lot of what ifs. And the worst thing is that it's very hard to get to this moment. Yeah, every piece can be in line. Yeah, it looks like the Eagles may have the best roster going forward, but it is tough to get to this moment. So I am hoping that they can get back here next year. Give me all your thoughts down below in the comments section. Just a really, really gut-wrenching loss, but you have to bounce back. You have to bounce back. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Be sure to hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and with that being said, I will catch you all on the next one. Peace.